So Sasha and Bayley have pretty much turned WWE into the Sasha and Bayley show. They're on all three brands, taking up the most TV time, and they're even in the main event. I mean, Sasha practically made Drew McIntyre her in that match this week, which, by the way, I think we're starting to see a repeat of the Seth Rollins title reign from last year, where Drew McIntyre, despite being the world champion, is just second fiddle to the Divas by this point. I don't think anyone looks at Drew McIntyre right now and thinks, yeah, he's the guy in the WWE. Hell, even Jinder Mahal was booked like more of a star than Drew McIntyre is now. I mean, he's feuding with Dolph Ziggler, for crying out loud. Anytime you're a world champion and you're feuding with Dolph Ziggler, that is proof that WWE sees you as nothing but a placeholder mid-card champion. It also means that you're not going to be champion for that much longer. Look at Dean Ambrose's reign in 2016. Look at Kofi Kingston's reign last year. Look at Seth Rollins' reign last year. There's no debate about it. Dolph Ziggler is a main event killer. So expect Drew to drop the title by SummerSlam, hopefully to Bobby Lashley, while Sasha will be winning the title from Bayley at that same show. But anyway, the overall point is Drew McIntyre is not a main event superstar, and that he wishes that he could be half as popular and half as hot as Sasha Banks is. But that's another rant for another time. Anyway, Sasha Banks proved once again why she is the greatest Snoop Dogg's cousin of all time by defeating Asuka in spite of her and Drew McIntyre trying to cheat in the match. And then she was on her way to defeating Io Shirai before that sore loser Asuka had to again try to cost her the match like the cheating coward that she really is. And then to make matters even worse, in the middle of a heartwarming display of love and friendship, again, you have these jealous, cocky heels that just had to come out and slap Sasha's sidekick for no reason. So I don't know about you guys, but personally, I'm pretty sick of watching all these mean girls pick on poor Sasha and Bayley for no reason, when all they're trying to do is show the world the power of love and friendship. But in all seriousness, though, if there's one complaint to have, they dropped the Iconics feud way too quickly. The Iconics were starting to look like legit stars going up against Sasha and Bayley, and so the fact that they're already done with that feud just kind of devalued their progress a little bit. But at least they weren't completely taken off TV. Peyton did pick up a win this week after debuting a sick new finisher, so at the very least, it seems like there are still plans for them in the future. So although Sasha and Bayley have pretty much taken over the entire division as of lately, there's still quite a few things going on besides them. Well, I mean, not really in the WWE, but there's plenty on NXT. We just had a number one contenders match, which was won by Tegan Nox. Now again, I'm just barely getting back into NXT, so I honestly don't know who most of these divas are and can't give much of an opinion either way. But I will say, though, that that's not a very good sign, because just like the point that I made in my great Nikki Bella versus Finn Balor video, a good wrestler should be able to get their character across to the audience, even if they're just watching for the first time. And as someone watching for the first time, I couldn't really tell a difference between any of these four divas. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and Candice LeRae could have a great cannibal gimmick, and Mia Yim could be an anime character come to life. But my point is, I wouldn't have been able to tell that by watching this one match. Now, Tegan Nox did have a little bit of a chance to let us know more about herself in that post-match interview, but all she really said was, "You already know my story, fella." Which, no, not really, and this interview kind of just makes me think that she's just another one of those Sami Zayn type of characters that doesn't really have a character and is just happy to be there having good matches. So just based off that, I can't really say I'm much of a fan. But speaking of first impressions, we did get a couple of vignettes for some divas in this show. One for Mercedes Martinez, who, from the looks of it, is just kind of another one of those Sonya Deville, Rhea Ripley type of characters whose whole gimmick is that they love to fight.
My name is
Mercedes Martinez,
and I love to fight.
But one diva who does stick out right away is Scarlett, although you can't really tell exactly what her character is supposed to be just based off this vignette, but You can at least tell she has one, which already makes her better than most of the other divas I've seen at the show. Speaking of great characters and wrestling legends, Aaliyah took on Rhea Ripley in a handicap match, which the only handicap in this match was Tyler 542 sloppy seconds holding back my Aaliyah and costing her the match by tapping out like a coward while Aaliyah smacked him around in anger. But apparently, this was the end of the feud and Rhea Ripley is moving on. Although she didn't say what she's moving on to, and the very last thing she said in this interview was she can't wait to see what the guy she's done with feuding does next, which, yeah, this promo, along with the Tegan Nox promo, just kind of reinforces the point that it's not always WWE's writing that holds people back. Some wrestlers just really suck at cutting promos and need to be scripted. But anyway, since there's currently a ratings war going on between NXT and AEW, I figure it's only appropriate that I start comparing the two each and every week. So both shows arguably had some of their best matches of the year this week. Sasha vs. Io was probably the first takeover match in a long time that actually lived up to the original standard of takeover matches back in the day. And the AEW match wasn't far from it. Penelope Ford really impressed me just for the fact that hot blondes like her usually aren't that great in the ring, but she was actually just as good as some of the best in the WWE from what I've seen here. And Sasha Banks kind of reminded everybody just how good she used to be back in the early NXT days when she was arguably the best wrestler in the universe. You have to admit that she's kind of just been a shadow of her former self for the longest time, but this match probably just revived her career. Aside from that, the only other AEW match was the tag match featuring Brandy Rhodes and her sister from another Mr., Allie. Now, while this wasn't as good of a match as any of the other NXT matches, I think story-wise, it was superior to everything else that NXT did this week, just for the simple fact that it actually told a story. I was able to watch this match and tell exactly who Allie is, who Brandy Rhodes is, and what their feud is all about. And so just by watching this one match, I'm already hooked on the feud because it's hilarious as hell. And Allie's performance as the Bo Dallas fake friend in this match was enough to instantly make her my favorite on NXT so far. So I give AEW the edge in that regard. Based off the simple fact that NXT had more diva segments in one night than every other show combined this week, means that they win my vote for this week as the better show, which, as we all know, is way more valuable than any ratings ever will be. But anyway, our MTOMAR ranking for our favorite Divas matches will be released this Thursday, so look forward to that. Plus, the return of MTO Vision on Saturday, which is also going to include more of these weekly Diva discussions as well, just to make sure I stay up to date with everything. So you can tune in for that if anything.